Okay, it's Monday, September 16th, 2013 at 10 o'clock. Let's say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome to our special Monday morning edition of Commissioners meeting. Next week, now will be Tuesday and Thursday next week, but the Tuesday meeting is the evening meeting. So it'll be 7:30 at Bascom Meadowbrook Park in the evening, although we do have a Tuesday ditch hearing in Hancock County. Is that correct? Tuesday morning?
Oh, yeah, we do.
Okay. So if you're interested in that, that's, I think it.
Is it, I got
Hancock
2
or Wood?
o'clock. What time is the ditch hearing? Portage River? Wood County?
Yeah, what do you-
9:30?
AM, okay. And then Bascom at 7:30, and then we'll be meeting Thursday of that week also, will be our regular 4 Thursday meeting here. Just some housekeeping stuff there. Okay, let's have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Whitman,
I'm here.
Commissioner Stacy,
Here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Okay, sign the journal. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve them as outlined.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the minutes have passed. And is there any old business? Mrs. Wilson?
It's the meeting? Yeah.
Old business. Tanya got a
Next
call
Tuesday.
from
No, but 7.
the gentleman that's doing the cemetery improvements.
Mhm.
And so they were gonna have some minimal cost overruns, approximately about $500. It is the recycled stuff, it's the concrete that they will need. Is it okay if we go ahead and
Continue
include that
Okay.
extra $500 out of that recycle money for that? I didn't figure it'd be a problem since it
Sure.
was recycled, but wanted to ask first.
Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
saw they were out there Saturday with the cement truck.
Yeah, and the 6 stones that needs to be put up, we had determined that one of them was the county's, one of them was Pleasant Township, and the others were the city of Tiffin. I did speak with the mayor, and he was going to bring that up for budgets in next year's budget cycle. He would bring that up. I haven't heard from Pleasant. They were talking about using, not necessarily their own stone, but getting somebody to do that for them. I will reach out to them again, but they were asking if we were gonna move ahead with our stones. I kinda thought you guys had mentioned wanting to do them all at the same time, but, I mean, the city's not gonna be ready till at least next year. If they decide to do that, do you wanna do ours? Do you wanna wait?
How many does that leave for us?
We only have one.
Only one. I prefer to do them all at the same time, but
I just wondered, can we front the money for the city, and then will they reimburse us next year? Is
They
that
don't have it,
possible?
they don't have it budgeted, so until they have their budget approved, I don't know that they know they would be able to.
and they may not even approve it.
Yeah,
Who knows? So you say city has how many?
City has 3.
3.
There's 5 stones. The city has 3, Pleasant has 1, and county had 1.
Okay. You think there's 2?
I think you got 2. I think you do.
I'll have to pull my paper.
I don't know. I guess I'd prefer just that. They're not.
And they said they'd be.
There's no big hurry, is there?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no. While the scouts are doing it,
Mhm.
you want to do it now, so there is a kind of a hurry. You want to do it while they're doing the rest of it. If not, then we're going to have a hodgepodge process out there. What I would suggest is, why don't one of us make a call to the mayor and kind of get his blessing on it if we went ahead and did it. I mean, Pleasant Township, you need to make another inquiry out with them,
They
But I
meet
would
on,
feel.
they meet on Wednesday night.
Pardon?
They meet on Wednesday night if you want to visit them. I mean, I could, but
Isn't that
When
what
the
Doug's? Well, then you could talk with him
Well, I
over,
know, but-
over dinner tonight.
The scouts won't put up the new stones.
No.
No, but while they're putting the foundation in, the stones set in the foundation, they don't?
They set in it. They
Yeah.
set in it.
So when they pour the concrete, the stones, the concrete's poured around the stones, right?
Correct, but Tim Welly doesn't have the order to buy the stones yet. He cannot have the stones in time for them to pour the foundation. They're gonna pour that section this weekend.
Minus those six.
So it's just gonna
Minus
have to
those
happen
six.
He can't, I talked to him Thursday. He can't have he doesn't have the stones.
We already missed the boat for that.
Yes,
They're not gonna pour those 6 stones in.
correct. They're gonna leave the footers, the framework, for him to do that. He said he wants a framework, he will do that.
Okay.
And that's.
And it was originally intended when these 6 folks were buried that there was no stone intended for them. So this is something that was not intended at the time, which is fine. But I just, especially since we're not gonna be able to get it done in time, I let the city take their time, it's my feeling, and do things when they feel their budget is appropriate, and we'll. If you disagree, so go ahead and say.
Well, I don't like to put things off. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. I would like to make an inquiry with the mayor to see what he thinks, and if, Holly, if you would inquire with Pleasant Township and get direction from them, that way we can finish the job and have it all done, and I hate to put off till tomorrow what you can do today.
What, you have any thoughts, Mrs. Stacy?
No, I will talk to Pleasant Township. I'll just make sure I take whatever they need to have. In case they don't still have it, what you sent them months ago.
Yeah, it didn't sound like they were gonna look at their own way to solve that
Yeah.
issue.
I know they raised a question on interpreting the
Oh,
residence,
Yep.
residency of the individual. So that they indeed was Pleasant Township, but, so I don't know if they got
They
an
were,
opinion on that from anybody or not, I don't know.
they were required to pay for the burial, but nobody's required to pay for a stone.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Is it $500 a stone?
No, it was only.
Couple hundred.
200.
200 or something.
And the city's got 3?
City's got 3.
I mean, I know what they're all thinking, same thing I'm thinking, I'd rather spend my money on the living than the dead, but, you can only spend it
Get me in
once.
trouble here.
But
Yeah.
I understand the feeling, and I'm not gonna buck it, so if we're gonna put up stones, well,
Well, let me inquire with the mayor, and, again, if Commissioner Stacy would do with Pleasant Township, and then, if that case, then we have to come back and we have to front the $200, for us, and we could finish the whole thing, even though it won't be done at the same time. They got forms out there, if we wait for another year with mowing and so forth, they'll be wrecked. They'll be ruined in a year's time, if we don't pour the concrete, now. Not a life or death situation by any means. What we do, we might as well do it right.
okay, any other old business from you? Everyone, you had something, Alan?
Yes, on the Board of Elections space, I just had an email from Mr. Fruth this morning, and thanked me for, working on it, and I said, yeah, let me know, I've, got some things I can show you, what I was thinking, et cetera. He said they have a meeting tomorrow night. I'm not gonna be back in time, as neither would you, and I don't know. So I asked him, and I don't know if you're available, Fred, or if we asked Stacy to go, but I said, do you want me to see if someone else is available? I said, I cannot be back into the Tiffin area until past 8:30, because we're taking our daughter back after the review, we're going to the farm science review. And if not, I have offered to meet with him today, so obviously that was like
Yeah.
10 minutes, 15 minutes ago, so I'll see if he's replied, if I can share something, and if they're not in a hurry, and they wanna wait till their meeting, the next meeting, then that's fine, but that's where it's at the moment. I've just been waiting to hear from them,
Okay.
so.
I have a meeting with them on the 1st that I just confirmed a half hour ago. So the 1st that he wanted to have a meeting with me, and he didn't say anything about any of a
The Board of
meeting
Elections
tonight.
or-
Yeah,
okay.
he just wanted to know if he could meet with me, and he put some dates down, and the 1st is when we're gonna meet. So
Okay.
I'm gonna wait till then, and
All right, I'll see what he may get back with me and may wanna
Mhm.
just have me go over my thoughts so he can at least share a little bit of an update at their meeting tomorrow night, and so forth, but that's where that's at.
Okay, thank you. Nicole, do you have anything?
The only thing I have is, are all 3 of you going to attend Tuesday to that Golden River?
I plan on it.
Okay. Do you guys
Bowling
want
Green?
to just
Yes, I will go.
car?
Finley,
Either reserve a car or,
Wood County.
You know, it's-
Wood County. Okay, I'm
It
confused.
says Wood County
All
Commissioner's
right,
Office.
all right, I'm confused. I was thinking this is not the Blanchard
No,
River.
this is
deal.
not
no,
the-
that's Portage
deal.
River,
All right.
ditch hearing, Wood County Commissioner's
All right,
Office,
good thing I
And
went
it's
to the
at-
wrong city.
9:30.
Let
Oh.
Holly drive.
I'll drive, Jeff.
All right, you can. Anybody but Fred.
Oh, let's not start that conversation. We're gonna get Fred.
Strike that from the paper. You know, I gotta tell you, they got these cars that the buzzer kept going off. It said the driver should pull over and get some rest. And it's like I'm doing my normal driving.
Okay, you must have been doing a little.
Yeah, I
little swerve on
I'm
it.
not gonna ask.
Okay, if you reserve a car, that'd be.
Yes, I.
Did you have any old business?
No.
Okay. All right, under new business, one of the new business items is authorizing the PRC program. And I know that the folks of Job and Family are gonna explain a little bit of that to us today, so why don't we let you guys do that first?
All right, well, it's good to see you all. For just a little review, the PRC plan, PRC stands for Prevention, Retention, Contingency Plan. And these dollars for these services are federal dollars, they're TANF dollars, temporary assistance for needy families. Okay, and this plan is meant for services 4 months or less in duration, and these services are meant to prevent people from coming on assistance. Okay, that's what we do with these. Now, many are familiar, our budget has been, cut drastically in the past few years. This year, we're flat funded, things are good for us, as good as they could be. Now, in the budget, they kind of, for lack of a better term, carved out what they wanted to happen with some of these temporary assistance to needy families funds. And they want them to be work supports. Well, we were hoping to bring that new revised plan to you for your approval. This one has a July date, but we've not received our allocations yet from the state. What we plan to do is add services in that are work supports, things like, maybe car repairs we've talked about, so that somebody consistently can get to work on time, and their employer appreciates that, I'm sure, and they can keep their job. We've talked about, we're currently doing tires with kind of the same mindset where, we want people to be safe on the road, we want them to get to work on time, get there safely. Those sorts of things. So as soon as we find out how much money we're going to get for those work supports, we'll add that into this and get that prepared. This one is the basic plan we've been using really for probably about 3 years. And again, these are services hopefully that prevent people from coming on assistance. We help them with utilities. I mentioned the tires. The summer youth program is in here. And thank you all very much, because if you drive by our building, it looks really nice, thanks to Bob and the summer youth. It's, they did a lot of work for us. And another kind of work program we have in here is called SCP, Subsidized Employment Program. And that's like where an employer could have somebody work for them for 4 months. We 100% cover their wage. I don't remember, does that one cover workers' comp too? Do you remember? I'm thinking it does, but I'm not sure. But at any rate, so this employer gets to look at this person for 4 months and go, okay, do I want to take this person on full-time and start paying them myself? That's been a really good program. We have a number of those going on. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Disaster services, which we did some of those when the big storm came through for families. And I think that's kind of it. So even though the date is July, we have to have this turned into the state by October 1st. And what this ODJFS is telling us right now is we're not going to get our allocations before then, even though the federal fiscal year starts then. So we'd like you to approve this, we'll turn it in. Then when we find out our allocation, we'll let you guys know about the additional services that we might do for work supports for families. And if you like it, you can bring that back up again. Usually when we don't make substantial changes, I just sign off on those with your, authority that you give me. But I think I'd like you to see the work supports, because I think that's gonna be exciting, for families and for communities. So that's what we have. I don't know, Bob, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you did a great job.
Oh, great. So that's before you, and then if I can take 2 seconds to tell you about what's going on with national healthcare. That's probably our biggest game changer right now. And I know that you guys have been dealing with it, on the county employee side of things. For Medicaid, we are getting a new system, which is called the Integrated Eligibility System. I believe Holly's gonna get to take a look at it this week. So basically, a caseworker will have to use CRIS-C, which is our normal software that we use to determine benefits, and this integrated eligibility system. They're estimating in 3 years that that will converge to be the new CRIS-C. But there's been a lot of policy change, complications with developing the software and stuff. I was at a meeting last week, and we just wanted to know, okay, basically, what is the application gonna be? And they really haven't decided all the questions on that, even though we're 2 weeks from taking applications. So, I think there's a little frustration, but I do believe that people are working really hard on that. So that'll be a new challenge for our agency. And we've talked about staffing and that sort of thing, but it's hard to determine what the need's gonna be until we actually see what's being rolled out. We won't actually determine eligibility for the new national health care till January, but people are free to apply starting October 1st. Sounds crazy, I know, but that's the way it is. So we've been working really hard, and I will just tell you, if you get a chance and you see Bev Henry, she is doing a great job on this for us. And she, if I haven't told you this before, she is the regional coordinator for 25 Northwest counties. She is the point person. She's getting the information out. She's doing a great job. And then we have a tester who is our supervisor, Jill Cook, for those of you that know her, who's down there testing the software. So Seneca County is really well represented. I'm on, forgive the name, the Gang of 10, that is working with the governor's person on this particular initiative too. So Seneca is really, we're getting firsthand information, we're sharing that with other counties in efforts to do the best at what we're required to do for this particular piece of work, so.
Will all the eligibility for the, for this new Obamacare go through you guys, or will some of that be done at the exchanges?
Right, there's the exchange. Kind of the details of it is somebody could apply, they could call to apply. And that, what we're getting told today is that first phone call is gonna be handled by the state and then forwarded to the appropriate county through a couple of interchanges. They could apply online. The problem is the federal hub is not slated to be up until August 14th. So our state software where people are gonna apply is supposed to ping off the hub and determine by IRS data if somebody's gonna be eligible or not, and then come back and say verified or not verified. But since that isn't up yet, all that stuff will come through to the counties. And then,
So would eventually, I guess I'm trying to ask, if I'm applying for this next year sometime for healthcare, and I go to my local agent, insurance agent, can they handle it all, or do they have to go to you as well?
there is a private portal too for, as I understand it, for, insurance people and that sort of thing. I've talked a little bit to corporate one at chamber meetings, and so we've kind of compared notes. I think both of us are not real clear until, October 1st, who,
How that's gonna all work?
yeah, how that's gonna interplay.
Okay.
It should be interesting. The rumors we're hearing is that expansion for Medicaid would occur, and just for you, what that means is, currently, gosh, I forget, there's probably 25 or 27 different Medicaid programs. And they all have different eligibilities, 100% of the poverty level, 80% of the poverty level, you know, whatever. Well, if Medicaid expansion occurs, that goes up to 138% of the poverty level. So that allows more people to be eligible. Rumors are that's gonna happen, but I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay, well, thank you for the updates, we appreciate it, and we did have a couple summer youth that had a good experience here too, I think.
Good.
One didn't really pan out, but we had two that worked for us for some time and good experience for us and them.
Awesome.
I got a question on the PRC.
Okay.
I know you don't know the allocation. Do you anticipate it being the same what it's been? Or do you anticipate it being less, or?
I anticipate that we're gonna get a little more because it sounds like the state is, you know, the state, ODJFS also uses some TANF money for their operations. It sounds like we're gonna get more at the county level than we have in previous years because they want to do those work supports for people,
Okay,
to get people off assistance.
makes sense.
Oh, yes, and there's the possibility that there might be a year-round youth program in the works. That's, the director would really like to do that, but, you know, they have to work through all those things. We've even debated locally if we take some of our TANF dollars and do that, because it is a work program and teach youth how to work and be on time and all that sort of thing.
Sure.
So stay tuned for that, we'll let you know what happens.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions for folks? All right, before we do the new business, let's go ahead and move into Earl Reed with the roof information. Our maintenance is here to hear what he has to say, so let's.
Good morning, Commissioners. How are you this morning?
Yeah,
Morning,
good.
great.
Thank you for coming.
Well, I'm glad to be here. As a little prep work, I tried to do a little something that will give us a little idea of what we're going to be talking about. And basically, there are two topics this morning. One's a review that's on the left-hand side, a review of the project.
Okay.
On the right-hand side, building, the CSB, the outside wall surface. I took a look at that. I can start there first if you'd like, and then we can go. About maybe 10 days ago, I got a call from Stacy saying, hey, they had this issue. I came down, took a look at it, and said, okay, that's a problem. And she said, she said, okay.
I want that job.
And they shared with me the quotes from the various vendors. First off, I think every vendor is a qualified group, qualified people. I think I would tell you right now, I would not repaint it. That would not be the right thing to do. I took a look at the two more expensive options. One was what they call an EIFS wall, and I did two vendors both quoted doing an EIFS wall. Then there was a third option, which was to put on a, for lack of a better term, if you know what a Butler building is, a large. That's the third option, the most expensive option. But let's work our way through it. The painting, and even the painter said, hey, this is not a fix. Long term, it'll cosmetically solve the problem, but you're going to have the problem again. And I think he was being honest with you. I think it's the right comment to make. I don't think it's going to solve your problem. And the reason I don't think it's going to solve the problem is because the water is actually coming in from the backside, causing the problem. Through the wall, from this roof, through the wall, and that's where you're getting some issue at. That EIFS wall, previously about 15, 20 years ago, they had a problem with penetration, water penetrating from the front side. They did a lot of corrections. They put some water vapor and some water carry-off materials inside those walls that they make them now. And I went and called Washington, talked to the EIFS organization, and explained to them what you're looking at here. They were very positive, along with the contractors that you have had look at that, and said there'll be no problem with water penetration from the outside into that treated material and causing problems. They were very concerned about putting it directly on the wall that had potential damage, water damage. Said that won't work so good. They didn't feel comfortable with that. They said we really would not think that would be a good fix for you if you're going to do a direct attachment. So I went back to the contractor and said, okay, let's talk about how you're going to fix this replacement wall to the existing wall. One of them was going to clear out all the bad stuff, do a little patching. Then they put on a 2 or 3 inch channel, C-channel, attached to the wall, and attached to the new EIFS wall. That will work because that basically provides a break between the two walls, gives you an air area between that, and that'll be fine. both contractors are going to the roof, going up the parapet wall, the high portion of the wall, putting roofing over the top of the parapet wall, and put a coping over it. Well, that's fine. That'll prevent water from direct down going between the wall. So that also is a good fix. So I didn't think that either one of those fixes applied that way would be a bad fix for you. Downside, and I kind of outlined that a little bit in the third page of this thing. I gave you little things, options and things to think about. Reasons to do it, the reasons not to do it. The strengths, the EVIS is a very quick install. We'll get that egg installed very quickly. That's the last page, I think, you'll see this as a question, like a little score sheet. And then I'll talk about the style wall for a second, but the weaknesses of the system, you gotta repaint it about every 5 years. So I want you to think about that and the size of that wall and what you're gonna pay somewhere between $2,500 now and over a period of time, more dollars to repaint that wall. Because it does need to have that happen. They do put paint on it. They say you can last 10 years. That's a northern and western wall. You're gonna paint it more frequently. You're gonna fade out. That's just the way it's gonna be. The life is 15 to 20 years. Cost, it's about, that's supposed to be $1.50 to $2.15 per foot squared. I'm sorry, I didn't put that dollar sign. That's what you're looking at. Life cycle varies. Water issues could be a problem if the surface tension on that wall is broken. Now, what would cause that to happen? Well, that's a parking lot. So someone moves in and hits it with the front surface, that would break that surface, and then you could have water then creep into that wall. So just still be aware. I know you put those little things on the parking lot, but if you had a longer truck or some kind of a pickup truck back into it, you could break that surface tension. You would find that as being a damage potential. So I asked the contractors, could you put that wall up, leaving the bottom 4 feet clear, so you don't have that problem? They could, but they weren't real excited about doing that, and I understand that. And I said, well, that's just one thought I had, that might be able to avoid that problem. They said potentially, if you just did a proper setting of the stops against the wall, you should be okay. So just something to consider. And the other thing is that one of the bids would allow it to be under the $50,000 bid specification, and you can go do it real quickly to get done. Other side, now I want to talk to you about the Butler, now for EVIS wall, it's a good wall, has positives, has some maintenance long-term you got to deal with. But the bigger issue, as I saw it, was you have water retention in the current wall. That could have been a problem if they don't put the spacers, and they both will do that. That should take that problem out. And you have a good cover over the parapet, which will solve the problem of water coming down on top. Let's talk about the other wall, the style wall. Style wall is a Butler building product. Butler buildings have been around since forever, since 1900. I'm familiar with them. My family was farmers in Indiana, so I got to go home and do farm stuff as a kid, never there. But long life, correct. A little more costly, absolutely. It's about $12,000 more for the Butler building wall than it is for the current EVIS wall. So that's something to think about in the process. Life, about 25 years. And I say that, I think that's probably a good number for your parking lot. In some places, in the farms, they're 50 years. But you have a lot of traffic, a lot of opportunity, a lot of opportunity cost. I think 25 years is a reasonable life to look at. It's about $2.50 a square foot. Although it's more expensive. Could be from $1 to 75 to 80 cents a square foot more. You have approximately about 3,000 square feet out there, so you get an idea what you're looking at cost-wise. Just for material, and you get your labor portion of all that. Again, car damage. Again, same problem. Only this time you're going to bend it. It's not going to break off. You're going to hit it. And it's going to have a dent in it, like you would anything like that. Will require bid specification. You will have to go out, do a bid spec. That's you're talking $3,000 to $4,000 more in cost by the time you do your advertising, your bid spec, put it out, go through the whole process. Time-wise, it's a little long. It's going to take a little longer to do. Advantage, you can do it in cold weather. It doesn't require warmer weather. EVIS wall, better off to go up in warm weather. But just tell you that. Only because you got to paint it when it gets done, and there's some issues with that. So you want to make sure you got that taken care of. So those are the things that I saw if it were mine to do, and if I was king for a day, I'd go after the style wall. If you're gonna break the $50,000 barrier, because you don't have the long-term maintenance. I'd say that takes the long-term maintenance issue out, and they can, if you look at, you can see the drawings. I maybe tried to do something simple. The first one is the ephes wall. That's the construction of it, how it looks. It's got a nice surface to it. You can see the metal cap on top. The bottom one shows the parapet wall, and you're gonna be covered. It's an easy installation, and you've got a good quote. You have some good contractors here who can do that. I've spoken to both of them. They both are very confident with this, so I don't think there's an issue with competency in that. But it's a little less expensive than this. This is a style wall, and the value of this is basically it's there for the long haul. They do the same thing on the parapet. They put this, you can, a little harder to see, but this is the same coping. There's a mastic comes over the top from the roof on the inside, and they put a metal coping over the top. Not going to be a problem water-wise. It also gets attached with a spacer. That's less of a problem with this material. You have a different kind of insulation barrier. It's less of a problem all the way around. That would be, if I were going to do it by the king for the day, commissioner for life, I would do it. One of the things I would consider. Don't necessarily, both will do the job well. One can be done less expensively. They will both do the job. And you have good people here to do that. So that gives you a little bit of perspective on what you can do over there.
If the leak is fixed at the roof, the repainting,
I think at this point in time, you have had enough penetration of water into your existing ephes wall. You're going to have to do something. You're not going to be able to walk away from it because it's already in there.
Okay.
And it's eating away the stuff that you have. The brick is eating away. You can see when you go off the elevator and touch it a little bit, and you can see the brick dust running out. It's basically it's in there, and it's just eroding against that brick. That brick is soft brick, and it's going to give up. So that's what you have. So I think you may, if you get all the water out, you may stop the erosion, the continuation, but you got it all the way through that wall. And that's a big issue.
It's been a year of a lot of rain.
Yeah, and you have a lot of rain. Yeah, it's a rainy area, and we're going to rain, snow,
Yeah.
whatever you got, you're going to have it there. So just so you know, I think it's a $10,000 decision as far as the cost at this point. And I got to tell you right now that these numbers will probably adjust. I think we got a pretty high number on one of the ephes numbers is $46,000. The other one's $66,000. I asked that contractor, I want to know what the difference in $20,000 are from you to the other. I also asked the contractor with the higher bid, he's done a lot more surface prep in his mind, and he's going to sit down and do a lot more time surface prepping to attach my C channels. He may be close to the right. He said, I gave you a worst case bad scenario. He said, but it could be a lot less, but I'm not going to tell you that until I got a chance to really go in and do a full inspection and estimate. The estimate you had is a very quick number he threw at it, because that would be what it's like. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to be 55,000 in that range for the ephes. I think the number for the Morton building is real close. You're going to be real close to that number.
80?
Yeah, 70, 75,000. You're going to be in that range. So.
When you say warm weather installation for the ephes, how warm is warm?
Well, I think, it's paint, so it's about 40.
About 40, okay.
Based on your experience working with government agencies and so forth, is there any grants or monies available to help
There are.
maintain
Yeah, that's-
government facilities?
It's a good question. After our last meeting, I spent some time looking for other ways that we can get dollars into the counties. There are some dollars coming out to maintain courthouses. Not lots, but some dollars. And it's going to be distributed in it's a lottery type approach. There's no real fixed approach to that. I look at the rest of the public buildings. I didn't find a whole lot out there at all, and that's one of the downsides of where we are right now. And that money is formerly was there is just pretty much gone. So that doesn't mean to say that there won't be some. Doesn't mean to say there's not federal dollars. But every one of those things, as you know, have those strings you got to deal with when you get them. which is fine, as long as you can able to deal with them, that's fine. I just don't have, what I saw were basically things dealing with courthouses.
Is this something that, next year we can look at, CDBG?
I think so, because we're doing the heating, ventilation, air conditioning on that same building with CDBG. Yes, I think that would be a possibility. It'd be competing against, other things from the villages and townships. I'm curious if maintenance has any suggestions or thoughts at this point, as far as what you've heard.
There is roofers over there now doing samples. I think JV Roofing's over there.
Okay. Okay, you don't have a preference one way or the other here? Okay.
Nope.
I think the biggest issue is you have a wall that is deteriorated and you covered it up, proper thing to do. That wall is now, has some water in it and it's impacting your current surface. Both fixes will achieve the result that you want. One will have a little more maintenance to it. That's what you boil it down to. As long as you do the appropriate fix, which is either one, and look at your cost, you should be okay.
Any thoughts from the board or questions at this
Well,
point?
yeah, let me just, okay, we still got 80,000 versus,
76, well, 70 for the 66, and there's one for 46. I've
Yeah.
asked that contractor to call me and see, I think it's basically certain, and I don't think that the 66 number is really 66. I think it's somewhat less than that. He just threw it, he was protecting himself on the high side. So I think the 66 number will come in lower, and I'm confident of that.
the 66, is that the
It's Ethos.
style wall?
No,
The-
style wall is 76,000.
76. 76 is the long term, which you're giving us a 25-year process. If we do the cheap fix, which is 7,000 or 8,000,
I won't guarantee you that you won't see the problem in the spring.
oh really, that's soon? I was wondering, if
No,
that's
the
a,
reason
that's
I
a
s-
10-year fix, then you do that 3 times, you're still 30 versus
That's what I was wondering.
80,
if we
yeah.
couldn't do that a
But
couple
if you're
times.
saying you could turn right around and.
And even the painter said that. He says, we can fix those spots that you have currently. He said, but he says, I can't guarantee you that you won't see that same problem a month later.
We all three went over and rubbed on the wall there where you could reach it, and it didn't feel
Yeah.
like it was gonna let loose,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah, but it's real, I call it mealy or
Yeah.
scaly down below.
And it's
Yeah.
coming from the inside out. So the surface tension that you're looking at has a, you might say, well, it feels good, but it's just eating its way through the system. That's what it's doing. And it's an acidic process. With the water going through the brick, going through the back of the product, it gets a little more acidic. You're going to start to see things happen.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to see us throw water down the drain in a sense, doing the cheapest quick
Sure,
fix,
sure,
and
sure,
I just
sure.
think that would be a waste. Waiting on the CDBG opportunity is a good idea or not, but that at least at that point, if we didn't get it, we would know that, by May or June, we would find that out. The process is the beginning of the year.
When does, we
Thinking
just
we knew
decided
just-
on the old one not
Is
too
it-
many
We had an
months ago.
August 1st date to get the other,
Additional questions
yes,
answered and
yes.
stuff.
So it would have been July when we had to have those submitted. I was thinking like the 17th or something.
Oh,
So
okay,
we
so
would be
it's,
doing it by next August,
yeah, so it's
September.
putting it almost
Yeah,
off
with the
the
money,
year.
should be next year until something can be done.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but
You could have, well,
I would advocate that we wait and this, I mean, I just don't see where we have the funds available to go ahead and to start a project. And, based on what you're saying, is if we paint it or, we do that temporary work,
By all means, you can do that.
If
I
we
just
can turn
want-
around and-
Just don't want to leave you with the idea that you're going to be able to walk. And I think the painter said the same thing, but I'll fix that. But it's not to say that a week from now, or a month from now, or a year from now, you won't see this problem again. And I think he's just being honest with you. But the other side of it is that aesthetically, you can take away the problem for a period of time before something else shows up. The other thing is, if you did the style wall, I would recommend not putting those murals back up.
oh,
Because if you did that, you had to penetrate the surface to screw them on.
okay, let me elaborate on
Yeah.
that, because I was talking
Yeah.
with John Detweiler, at the chamber.
Yeah.
He asked, he said, could we please take down the existing ones, because they're faded and they look outdated and they're bad, which I want to bring up today. But he said the new murals don't use brackets and they hang over the top.
Okay.
So they don't attach to the wall, you're not penetrating the wall.
Well, yeah, I would, even if you put them on the, if you redid the Evis wall, do not penetrate that wall.
Yeah.
That causes some real issues
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
So,
that's like putting a new roof on and put a hole in it.
The real problem
Yeah,
I've
right-
got
right there,
with
exactly.
It's like,
painting
why?
is I cannot, the mealy part, my dad always called that mealy, but the part where it flakes off down below. Anything that the painting or the partial
Yeah,
fix
sure.
is not gonna fix that.
No,
It's
you have-
not gonna fix that.
you have to service treat it, and that's gonna
Yeah.
cause it to break the surface tension, you're gonna have the potential.
I think it'll take care of the blistering and
Yes.
and those issues and I mean, but it's not gonna do anything for the flaking down below.
I'm confident the painter will do a great job. I'm just thinking you might be looking at a little different issue down the road, that's all.
Do we wish to, I'm just thinking out loud, have Larry do that job, put it off for a year, and then apply for the CDBG next year?
Well, and that would be
And put a
back,
permanent
yeah,
fix on
back
it
to what I
next
was going after what John Detweiler said. Maybe if we could contract with Larry to take the signs down, take the brackets down, which I guess they're faded and kind of looks dated. And then in the meantime, get a bid just to repair those bubbles.
Just to make it
Up
look
top.
decent until we actually do. a
Yeah, but
permanent
there's really
fix.
nothing you can do down below.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year to apply for the CDBG, that would be, I would support something like that.
Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, if, without the banners up, if we see that it still needs something to, make it, I mean, it's not in danger of any liability concerns or anything like that, but if there is a need for some repairs at that time, that are obviously less expensive, then fine. If we don't need them, and we know it, might not look perfect for a while, but that's okay until we try to address it next year
Yeah.
with the right long-term fix, then. I'd
So
say
it'd be
don't-
to
I'd
take the
brackets
signs
off and-
down and repair the bubbles, the blistering that are up top by the signs.
We have to at least take that.
Yeah, and
that
then
bubble.
leave well enough alone, apply for CDBG next year, and, and my strong opinion would be to go the better way.
I think it's,
Yeah, I mean, I don't like that every 5 years or so you got
well,
additional
the only reason I
costs.
say that, you're in a western and northerly wind section here, that's the western northerly wind, you have sun's gonna be in that area, I think you're gonna find you have to do it, even though they put good paint on it, you're gonna find that fade, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't mind going with the style wall,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I do think the CDBG is a good option for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. it's-
Sometimes people don't even apply for that, like the year before, nobody applied except the county. And we'll set the
This
way
is
that
a,
it's
this is
done.
a worthwhile, in the
But if not,
meantime,
put it
maybe
off
look
until
if there
there's
is
a
any
survey thing.
funds available, any other avenues we can get through regional planning, and any other avenues for supporting maintenance of existing government buildings.
As I said, I did go out after our last conversation, took a look at that, and I did not find anything straight up. But I'm confident, I didn't see everything, it's not my, not my world a lot of times to see it, but I did go out and look under public buildings, public building accesses, roofs, things that, there were dollars available. There are a lot of bond dollars. A lot of it is it's a 20% of the cost, or 25% or 50%, you had to come up with the other half yourself to do that. There's no grant dollars, I should say, I didn't find any grant dollars for that purpose. It's just a non-payback situation.
But there is dollars that would support 30,
Well,
40, 50%.
CDBG, you're gonna have to come up with some portion, some kind of.
That makes it even more palatable if $8,000 now down to, or $80,000 now down to $40,000.
It could be that. If there's a CDB, if there's a grant for that purpose, they're very specific, but, people, good wordsmiths can figure that out and how they do that, but there are some things out there. I'm saying what I saw, I was looking for roofs mainly, and I didn't find that, but there are some things out there building-wise, and I'm glad to share that with whomever I need to do that with, and what I found. They may say that doesn't apply, which I think it may say that, but at least it may give them something to go look at and see if they can do
Could
it.
you-
Or I can try to find something else you'd like me to. I'm glad to do it, but, well, that's not my talent, but I can find some, absolutely.
Well, my suggestion, if you guys would agree, fellow commissioners would agree with it, it would at least pass off what you know to our regional planning.
Sure.
To Jill Griffin, and let her,
Yeah, I can call Jill.
let her bird dog
I
it
can
from
call
there.
Jill, I'll talk to her, I know her, I'll talk to her.
Yeah, and so that way she doesn't have to reinvent what you've already done, but she can go from there.
I'm
My next,
glad to do that.
my next recommendation is with authority of the board, I'd like to get a cost to take down the signs, take down the brackets, and just do those minor repairs for the bubbles. Get a cost on that, bring that back to the board, and if that's, you know, hopefully that will be many thousand less than what it was for the larger project.
Okay, and then look at the long-term fix, apply for CDBG
Yeah,
next year
yeah.
at 14,
Yeah.
fix it with the style, with the better quality. Does that work for maintenance to do that? Okay, all right.
And we're glad to help you if you choose, we're glad to give you assistance where we can.
Okay, that's agreeable to you? Okay. All right, yeah, go ahead and talk to Larry, and see what you can find, and that sounds like a plan. Thank you for your time. and-
You wanna talk about the
He wants to
project?
talk about the other
Yeah,
part,
he's
yes.
only halfway.
He's
done.
only halfway done.
All right, nice.
You don't have to, that's okay.
Yeah, as long as you promise not to give us any more bad news.
These are, actually, in all honesty, I'm gonna give you some good news and some
Good.
things to think about.
You're welcome.
Things to think about.
Stay here.
Okay, roof replacement is currently in place going on in this building, the 2 adjacent roofs. And that's a good thing, so you'll be in good shape. I think the guys will probably like that, they'll have dry heads. We're working on the lighting review. We just had one contractor in last week. We're going to try to arrange all the rest of them to be in one day, either this week or next week, to do the lighting review, which will be, do 2 things. One is, we're trying to get the rebate element back to you, so those are dollars back to the county general fund using whatever way you choose. We think it's gonna be somewhere between $18,000 and $20,000 you're gonna get back. It'll come back into the county for your purposes, if you do the entire project. The entire project, it's part of our bid, part of our project, it's about $100,000, $120,000. We're trying to do a couple things.
We'd have about a 5-year payback.
That's a fair, it's 4.7, 4.9, and that's reasonable within the context of lighting, and that's okay. People usually go after lighting first because it's the biggest and fastest payback, and that's true. I think we get these dollars are gonna work out for you. You have a lot of different places that we can do some things. But we've been doing as much push on that as we can. There's one building, JFS, which is a building that where you house the engineering there at the same time. We want to look at splitting that building in half, or whatever portion we can, because the entire building is like a $55,000 replacement. If I split it in half, commissioners in one, the JFS in one, and engineers two, I can just go out and get quotes, saves bidding it, saves that cost. Otherwise, we're gonna have to bid that out. So I need to get some authorization to do that. So there's 2 different agencies in there, and I can make that work, I think. And it will still be, well, we'll be doing everything appropriately. It just takes away that additional cost you have to deal with.
I don't have a problem with that. Do you?
Let me ask you, since both of those agencies are not really funded dramatically through general funds, I mean, is that something that they can foot part of the cost of?
In every other county I'm in, that's how they do it. They basically go to those agencies who are funded by Columbus or the other funding streams, such as road taxes, and they let them pay for that portion of the job. You need to understand, the tax rebate, the rebate dollars come back to the county. Now, how you do with that, that comes in, that goes back to general fund, that's what it goes to. And that's it. But the remainder, and in every county I've been in, they do that. They say, okay, you get paid by Columbus through ODJFS, or you get paid by road taxes, and you can pick the cost up and do it accordingly. So, something to think about. I think it's a valid approach and might work out
I
funding.
think the engine, just thinking again out loud, the engineer that might very well work with the Job and Family Services pays us cost allocation. That's probably figured into the cost allocation that
Yes.
they pay us. So I don't think we could double charge them the
No,
cost
it-
allocation plus this.
I only say that in the places we've seen this work, there's an adjustment made on the monthly return back to you and how it does that. You guys, it's actually an internal accounting thing. My wife's an accountant, and I have to get a request for my paycheck, but you guys can do it too.
Okay.
So,
Do you
and my
think-
allowance comes in a little chit to sign this up.
do you think
So,
that- how do you see that working?
The engineer, we are required to give him space.
Uh-huh.
So we do not charge him cost allocations
Yeah,
now. And I don't think that would be able to be included for a roof for him because we're required to give him space, that space.
Mhm.
So, the Job and Family, I think there's something that we can work out with they pay a monthly, the cost allocation they included in there, the calculation of the building improvements in there, so
You
I
might
think
be
we
able
can
to-
adjust,
Might be able to adjust that.
might
cost
be able to
allocation.
adjust that one.
Okay.
I'd have to talk to Kathy,
Okay.
but I'm not sure about the engineer's office.
Okay, it would have to be voluntary with Mark if he did. He did pay for a little wiring in there at one point.
And he's helping us with the buster, the
Yeah.
gas issue out there, so.
Yeah, you don't push him too hard.
So what are you asking from us, Earl? What do you,
Well, I just need to know that we can split that up, because for your purposes,
shouldn't be a problem.
from your perspective, if it's over $50,000, I don't want the county to be in a bad spot. I'm not gonna be there. I mean, I'll just write this back and we'll go out and do that. But I think you can do it by quoting purposes, which will save the county money.
but as far as who's gonna pay for it and so forth,
That's just
that can
internal.
be worked out later?
That's internal.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just giving you information.
Authority to
Part one,
split
part
it.
two.
Yeah, I can do that. Very well. Just want to make sure, I didn't want to be usurping any authority or put my foot in a bad place. CSB chiller is being ordered. We're going to be good. Again, CSB chiller was installed, but we won't put it online until April. That'll give you the warranty, 10 years from that point forward. You don't lose this first 6 months. I think it's, at the end of the day, I guess, you need to get up front. I'd rather have it up front. If you're going to have any problems, it'll be early. It's not going to be late.
Yeah.
So we'll get the problem solved. You're protected in that way. I want to make
Install
sure.
it after the heating season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
and you're
after
gonna
the
pull the
cooling
old ones
season,
out?
excuse me.
Yeah, pull the old one out.
Hold it, because I was,
And if you remember, look at the top of CSB, there's 2 large condensers up there. We're going to talk about that at the end. I'll just talk to you a little bit about that, regarding that and the roof, and some ideas we have on how we can reduce the immediate cost of the roof replacement. So we'll discuss that at the end. Distributing, air distribution, those like vents and ceiling, that's a big part of the job. They're on order, and they're also all programmably controlled. They're all individually thermostatically controlled. The programmers, we're putting them in right now, so all that's gonna be a much easier, much better fit. And people have a lot less complaints with that process. So I think you'll be a lot better off. As far as the amount of air they can get at one time, they can close them and open them as they need. Jail controls have arrived. We have an office, the programmers have got them all over the place. They're programming them up now to put the stuff in the jail. And this afternoon at 2 o'clock in your back room, we have a meeting with the mechanical engineer and electrical engineer who are doing the work, mechanical contract and electrical contract who are putting the work in out there, kind of firm everything up. We've got a tentative schedule. We're going to firm that up. And at the end of the day, everything with the exception of the chiller checkout, end of the year. December 31st, that's what we're going to have, what we're working to have completed. There's 2 reasons for doing that. One is that they have a 150-day installation process, and we have to make sure that they try to fit in that window, or we end up having liquidated damages issues. If we create a problem and they can't do work, then we have to try to extend that. If they create a problem, that's their problem. So I'm trying to make sure we don't go there. They want to get out of their bond as much as they possibly can. That makes sense. I want to make sure we get that job complete. And so we're going to hold some of that, their retention dollars back until the job is totally complete in April. We'll hold about $25,000 be held back. It will not be paid until after it's done in April. The rest of it they can pay out, but we'll do that over a period of time, so that should be good. Jail installation work will actually begin next week, so all the other buildings that can be completed in sequential operation. That's what the calendar schedule is going to be this afternoon, so we'll know where we're going with that. Now I talked about CSV not going on until next spring. New controls will include the ability to review building operations at any, okay. We are putting in the ability for Stacy at her computer, or Dean at his computer, or if you choose at your computer, or any building to call up and look at their building and see how it's operating, what's going on, how's my system working, and am I have a problem, do I have any issues in that regard. The reason for that is it makes the building a lot more controllable. We also have the ability at any one location, or two, more than two, to oversight the whole thing.
Okay. Well, this facility here, the Commissioner's office, will have the hub for all the facilities, correct?
There'll actually gonna be two. There'll be one at the jail because of the size and complexity of that building. And we can place the other one. Now, just because it's there, you can still go in and look at it. It's not just
Online.
Yeah, online. Same with CSB building. That's a hub building, but we can make it so you can see it. So for your purposes, you can see anything you want to see on any one of those buildings. That's not going to be a problem. You can do that. We'll make that
In this
happen.
office.
Yeah. So you can see that. In those buildings, I don't want them, it doesn't really matter to them, I don't think, what's going on in other buildings. They want to know what's going on in their building.
That's my
Well, we
thought.
can make that work in that regard. But to answer your question, there are two hubs, CSB and jail, and then we'll be able to give you access to those. But that's a function of IT, and we'll talk to your IT people today too, get a little bit of that wrinkle sorted out.
Okay. The jail, CSB won't have the ability to control something at the jail, or,
No,
but this office will have ability to
For
control.
lack of a better term, there's a firewall between the whole buildings. They can't go between those walls.
Other than this office
This
here.
office, you can look at everything. You get to play, you get to do what you want to do. And I mean that from the perspective, you should know how your buildings are working, just give you feedback to do that. You're going to be able to identify that. And we're going to do some things as we go down the road with some what they call dashboards, which will give you a lot better ability to see what's going on in your
And you
building.
can't change anything online.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell, you can't,
If you have the proper password,
Oh, okay.
and you can actually change from this site, and then every building can change what's going on in their building. But you can
In your
change
building only.
your building only.
This, the
How
Commissioner's
how
office.
that's done, Commissioner, is each building will have a password, that people in that building, a person, I would assume, or dean, or whoever you're gonna use, will have the ability to go in and change something. We don't want wholesale changes.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want wholesale changes, you don't need that problem, but at the end of the day, there are numerous things in control-wise that are gonna give you a lot more ability to be able to control what you have and how you wanna do that. And you as commissioners are gonna be able to really monitor all your buildings and see, this is what we have. On the dashboards, what we're doing, and I'll have to really bite my tongue a little bit, but we did some things, went to Oakland last weekend on the dashboard setup. You should be able to look at your building and tell you how much that building cost you to operate today. How much that building cost you to operate 1 month ago. How much that building cost a year ago today to operate that building.
Bingo.
Yes.
So you know what your year-over-year costs are. And what's the cost per square foot? And the issue, and I do this with everyone I speak with, I know from an official's perspective is how many dollars I have. But a building doesn't care about dollars. Building cares about BTUs. You want to know if they've used more BTUs of heat or cooling. That's the key. Because BTUs, money is just a function of BTUs. The more you use, the more money you spend. The less you use, the less money you spend. And that's really what you want to do. We'll give it to you in money. We'll give you a little BTU to look at, so you know that things change also. So you know that just because the bill went up, but if the energy and consumption didn't go up, that means that's a function of commodity price, and that commodity went up. And we can say, hey, let's make sure we're not looking at the wrong thing, and let's address people and say, hey, you're doing the right job here. Can we do a little better? Get that back down, but not because they did anything wrong, but because basically the cost of the commodity went up.
BTU is gonna be the real driver.
That's the driver.
That's
That
the
is
driver.
always the driver. It is the absolute bottom line of any building, is the BTU square foot. And then we'll give you that measurement, so you'll know that. The PM work on the roofs, let's talk about that for just a little bit. I was with JB Roofing last week, and we're gonna do CSBs. And I said, I do not want you to do PM on this new roof here. I want you to do PM on this building, as opposed to those buildings. So they're gonna do that, as opposed to just do it on the new building. Do those on this building and that building. I said, make that happen. They said they'll do that. So and it makes no sense to do PM on a new roof. I said, but this roof needs to help. Go do that. So they're gonna do that. And then we'll take a look at as we go through what we need to go do. The jail. There's a number, the cost difference for the jail. The jail's a lot bigger roof, It's a little up, and honestly, we said we get 5 years out of it. We're gonna do that. It's got a lot of issues that, even last year, I think we had some issues there. I think you paid $5,000 last year for that. This is $37.83 this year. So we may find ourselves, trying to keep on top of that. So just know that the jail is a roof, it's a large roof, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but we're gonna maintain it. We're gonna get you up to 5 years out there. So just know that. There's 4 more years to go. And we'll talk about how we want to address that jail roof in a second. Okay, I guess I'm gonna talk about now. Roofs on CSB, let's do that first. When we changed the chiller on the CSB roof, up on top there's 2 large condensers right on the edge of the roof. You can go out in the back behind the parking lot, you look and see them there. Those are coming off. And the new condensers and chiller are going on top. What that did, there's a footprint change. Basically that footprint's going to change because this is a different configuration of unit. So they had the structural engineers out, they did all their magic and put steel out there. They're going to do that. That's great. I said, but let's talk about the roof. We put there's some dollars in there, about $10,000 for roof repair in the event that they have to do something because of that.
They take the big one off and
Put
put
the new one on.
the smaller one on or whatever.
Yeah, this is my concern and my thought to address some of the issues we talked about last time I was here. That section of the roof, we don't have to do that. We can avoid spending that $10,000. Our portions thereof, not all. But I looked at what we have to do. When we replace that roof, I can't move that steel. That steel's going to be in there, and that means that old roofing there is going to be, we're going to have a challenge working around that. So my recommendation is this: when they take those condensers off, that section of roof where that steel's at, we take that roof out and we replace that section. They can do that right there. It's about a 15 by 20 foot section.
There's no seams.
No, yes, there will be a seam, but I'll explain to you how it's going to work. When they replace that, they'll put that new steel up there, they'll put the new condenser on. Now, that section is replaced. What we would do, or what I would recommend that you do, because one of the things that I remember you telling me about, that's way too much money to try to mortgage out. You can take that roof and you can split that roof into 2 or 3 sections. Replace a section at a time over a 3-year window. On the last section, they'll go back and they'll coat the entire roof, so you get 20 years of life at that point for the entire roof. Each time they replace a section, that section will be warranted. But when they do the last section, they come back and review the roof and they unit with a 20-year warranty for whatever. We can put bigger stuff on, more get 25 if we want, but at the end of the day, you'll get 20 years for sure of total roof replacement, even though they replaced the first part 3 or 4 years in advance. So the value of that is you take a smaller chunk of money at each time and you work your way through it, and it's a little easier to deal with, and you still end up with a quality roof in the process.
Okay, the CSB, you've got a $10,000 contingency in there for minor roof repair when they pull that out. If we took that and we did it in thirds, as you said, how much would that cost me?
Well, that's a good question. I'm working on it right now. I think at the end of the day, I would think that you want to think about something between $80,000 and $100,000 per section. I think you want to think that way.
But you're not I'm sorry.
But you may come up less than that. The first part, the $10,000 part, that may come in a little bit above, but trust me, God, I hate to say that, trust me, that we put in $35,000 additional contingency in that project. So we're going to use in the jail for the valves and placement. I'm going to try to mortgage as many dollars as we can to get that section of the roof replaced with that condenser and compressor set in.
You're not recommending doing a third of the roof this year, you're just saying doing that section.
Do that section, and then split the rest into thirds. So the reason I'm a little hesitant, I've got to figure out, and I've got the contractors looking at it, I want to take a look at some engineering costs, how can I make that, 1, the most effective cut, and 2, the most realistic number? Because legitimately, I'm going to tell you, well, if you do section by section by section, overall it might cost you more money to do it all at once. Probably true. But at the end of the day, you're going to spend a lot less money, and you're going to end up actually getting a longer warranty on each section of the roof than you would have gotten before. So that's why I'm looking at that very hard, rather than come back and say, give me $250,000, change the roof. I don't think that's necessary. The other thing it does, when you do that, since you've got the jail and the CSB building, if we did that all at one time, guess what happens in 25 years? All gotta be at the same time. I said, rather than walking your way through it, section by section by section, and basically stretching your cost out, you end up having to take the whole thing at one time. So we're trying to find ways to, you're gonna pay the cost to replace the roof. Try to do it in a manageable componentry rather than try to do it all at one time. I think that's a cost-effective way to go about it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get my hands around this. So you're saying the 3 sections for the CSB building is roughly about $80,000 a section?
Yeah, I think that's
we're
probably
talking
fair,
about.
yeah. I think that may be high. I'm gonna be high before I'm low.
Okay, so we got 3 sections of that, total cost $250,000. Okay, now we've got these chillers that we're taking out, and you're gonna replace this 15 by 20 area, and I understand where you wanna replace that roof before you go ahead and put the steel down and so forth and so on. And there's roughly $10,000 contingencies that you have
To do that, right?
allotted in there for that. So you're not advocating we do a third of that roof right now.
No.
We only do that 15 by
That's
whatever
exactly right.
section.
That's exactly
And
right.
that cost is
That cost is-
estimated to be what?
Well, that number is supposed to be here this morning, I don't have it with me, so
Based on your gut,
35,000.
35,000, okay. So we got $10,000 contingency to cover part of that. And then, if I'm just trying to
I have
recap
some-
what
I
you're
have
saying.
some
And then
money
you
set
have some
aside,
money,
but I-
maybe at the jail.
I have some money set aside in the project. Now, let me be careful here. I don't want to talk out of, to give you bad information. We are touching that money at the jail. There are some valves in there that have to be replaced.
Okay.
That were not part of the project. There's 3 3-inch valves and 1 4-inch valve that must be replaced. And I think you have a company over there welding some pipes to stop the leaks. Well, guess where that pipe's leaking at? Right at those valves. We have to replace those valves. And the actuators on 3 valves and the whole 4-inch valve and actuator, we have to replace. I think that'll take care of a lot of the leaks, but I wasn't about to tell the sheriff he couldn't do what he wanted to do. He can do what he wants to do. At the end of the day, I think he's trying to do the right thing. As long as we don't screw up those valves, we're okay. But we're gonna have to replace the 1 valve and its actuator and 3 other. That's probably about, those quotes are due today. At 2 o'clock, I find them. I would guess we're probably somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range to do that.
Okay, so the $10,000 contingency, that could go towards the 35,000, what you're saying, and you may be able to pull
I may be able to pull some money from the other
some
side.
money out so that we could, so what you're looking for is authorization when they put the chillers in.
To replace
that we
that
would
section of
replace
the
that
roof.
section, roughly about 35,000. We got 10,000 here, we may be able to pull some additional funds.
Yeah, and I reserve a little bit of right in that first section. I'm only for this purpose. That section is attached to, by the elevator shaft. I've got a lot of patchwork to do there when we do that. Logic says there's 35,000 or so in that range, just to make that right. And then we'll take the rest of it, and I think do it in thirds would be fine. I think you'd be better off. I think you'd get there. Now, I'm gonna suggest to you that you look at the rest of the building replacements the same way. The rest of the roof replacements in the same fashion, because it just takes a lot of the stress out of the big number. Let's do it every year. You set aside, instead of trying to set aside $250,000 or $300,000, set aside $80,000. That may be the right thing to do. And if you can do that, what happens is your roofs you commoditize your roofs. You do a little bit every year. I gotta put this aside, and it takes that big hit up. People are beginning to look more and more at that. Industry's looking more and more at that because they can't take the hits. They can't take that kind of asset hit. And everybody, when you have these kind of problems, the first things they look at, maintenance, and how can I make it last longer? And I'm gonna say, I told you before, I can always make it last a year longer. At some point in time, you don't want me telling you that. And this is, you're getting there on this roof, and this roof out here specifically.
I think you said 5 years.
I gave you 5 years,
Yeah.
and now we're a year in.
Okay.
So you got 4. So, I think you can walk your way through to it. And one of the things, and the reason I'm a little hesitant, Commissioner, is not because I don't want to give you a number. You remember the bank building is adjacent to that, and that's a rubber built roof. That's part of that money. So I gotta figure, okay, let's see how we're gonna do this, so we don't screw up 2 buildings. We're gonna do the bank building and the CS building, because they're basically a joint building for you, trying to do the roofs in the same fashion.
Are there chillers up above the CSB? Because I was just up there last week. I thought the chillers were on the bank building.
Now, the bank building, you have air conditioning, you have rooftop air conditioning.
Okay.
Yeah,
They were units, okay.
and those we went through, we were gonna change out, we said, no, we're not going to, because there's good life left in that. So we got about 10 years life on it, so you got another 15 years, we can make it last that long. It's good maintenance, you can get 15 more years out of that thing, so, yeah, it's up there. But, and on the other roof, remember, there's right on the corner of the building, that's the section where that raised, when you come out of the elevator shaft, at that right section, that's
Okay.
That's
Come
where
out to the right there. Yeah, okay.
that's what I'm talking about.
Well,
So we're
really, you
trying
have
to-
no choice. When you replace the chillers, you gotta replace the roof. I mean,
Yeah, well-
in that area,
Oh, yeah.
that just makes
You-
no
you
sense
don't-
at all, not to.
You do, because as I looked at the roof, and I looked at what we're doing, I said, this is not a good fix here. It's not part of the project, but you need to do this because it's the right thing to do for the asset at the end of the day. To get you out of the problem. And what happens is every time they do a section of the roof, they seal it, they brought the next one, they marry it up. So under the roof, you're gonna have 4 separate sections. But when they get done, in each section will have roofing material on it. And they get to the last, they'll come and recover the thing, and you'll have your.
Well, typically, when they do a roof, you don't have the membrane that covers the whole roof. It's all
No.
done in sections
That's
anyway, and then they overlap.
But
And
when they do it this way, they gotta seal off. The roof section they just worked on is sealed off, and that's a good thing. Because basically, if you have a leak, you now really can control where it travels, and we got a lot
it's
more
not gonna
opportunity.
go from siphon from one to the next to the
I think
next.
it's a little different approach, but I think at the end of the day, all counties, and all, not just counties, we do work in industry too. It's the same kind of thing we're recommending. You really need to take a look at this, and sectionalize your commoditize your roofing replacements.
Well, I think I'm hearing the board agree with your recommendation.
So I will address it from that perspective and bring you back. I'll just see, this is something, it's not part of the project, and it's something we just said, let's take a look at that. And I think we'll bring it back in and tell you what you've got, and then you can take it from there, which one. And if you want us to get involved in that, obviously, I'm glad to do that.
I would think that potentially has a positive impact on our insurance. I don't know how, do they itemize insurance looking at the ages of our roofs a little bit? I don't know.
They do appraisals on our building, so I'm assuming that would
That's a good
definitely
question.
have-
I
Because I
haven't-
like that you
addressed
had,
that.
you know,
That's
you
a
had
good
listed you're
question.
optimizing the county funding, but also in that impact, it might,
At the end of the day.
can't hurt.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they're gonna look at what your conditions of your buildings are, and that's gonna dictate your rates. If you're doing a step towards a better improvement, that's a good point. I have not looked at that, Commissioner, that's a good thought.
Yeah, they were just in, did we do that at the beginning of this year, or did we do that last year?
Which one?
Appraisals, we do it every.
Seems like this
5
year, but it
years.
might not have been.
Who have you been with?
Jenny,
Corsa.
Jenny Strickland.
Jenny Strickland would've came in.
They're,
I know we
they're,
met her, but I don't.
Yeah.
they're in a number of counties, they're in Ashland County right now.
Might have been last year.
Okay. That's my presentation
Okay,
today.
well, thank you. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
for your-
And if, obviously, there's anything I can do, I'll be around, you'll see more.
Okay.
I've been here a lot, you'll see more of me. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we are ready for new business.
New business, I have bill vouchers 108 and 109. I have an appropriation adjustment with the Community Development Block Grant Program FY12 Fund 105, moving $4,697 from salaries to cost allocation. I have a supplement to the permit appropriation for the Community Housing Improvement Program, Fund 157, putting $25,000 into private rehabilitation line. I have a supplement to the permit appropriation for the Housing Revolving Loan Fund, 194, putting $19,667 into contract services. I have a decrease to the permanent appropriations for the Community Development Block Grant Fund, 196, decreasing salaries, $425.11. Supplies, $1.55. Street improvement, $27,695.56. Fair housing reduced, $87.05. Advertising, $215.14. Medicare, $7.71, for a total of $28,432.12. I have a supplemental decrease to the permanent appropriations for the general fund. We had a request from the prosecutor's office to do an appropriation adjustment, and which would be our normal processes for this. They have indicated they wanted it to be done separately as a reduction and as a supplement. Still not sure why, but when we did these supplements at the beginning of the year, the way they code our account lines, the prosecutor's office is mandated by the state a certain amount, and he has two account lines. One says prosecuting attorney, and how they worded the second one just says full-time employee, which, going through this decrease, trying to figure out what they were trying to ask me to do, the .01, the salary reduction here, when we did the supplements, we put 3% in that line because it said full-time employees, general fund, we were doing the one-time supplements. So basically it got over appropriated for Derek, and he can't get that amount. He's a set fee, just like you guys are. You're a set fee, you can't get any more, can't get any less. So instead of just the appropriation adjustment because of the elected official line that it is, they've asked me to do a reduction first and then reappropriate it. So that's why it's the two different lines. It's still an appropriation adjustment, but they wanted the decrease and a description in the resolution for it.
The one way around.
Yep. So I have a decrease in the salary line, $611.31. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations, putting it into their contract service line for $611.31. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the Seneca County Ditch Maintenance Fund, 017, putting $20,000 into salaries, $7,612.87 into ditch maintenance assessment, and $150 into Medicare, for a total requested $27,762.87. I have a resolution authorizing the execution of amendment number 1 to an agreement of sublease with respect to the Seneca County Youth Center. Just 3 copies. And I have, as Job and Family was in here today, I have a resolution authorizing the provision and implementation of the Prevention, Retention, and Contingency Plan effective July 15th, 2013. I have a resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Nick's Lawn Mowing Services for snow removal for the county's small lots. They've held their same prices again this year. I have a resolution authorizing snow removal agreements for the county's large lots with Elkhart Lawn Mowing Services, and again, they kept their prices the same. I have a resolution authorizing the contract agreement with Corporate One Benefits for the consulting and brokerage services pertaining, not limited to, the medical, prescription drugs, flex spending accounts for Seneca County effective August 1st, 2013. The main reason is due to the Obamacare, as everybody calls it, required. The big one was the HIPAA, the new HIPAA laws and the requirements. We needed to get that one included in here as well. And I think that was all I have.
Okay, is there a motion to approve these?
Make a motion to approve them as outlined.
Second.
Any discussion on any of these?
The snow removal stuff, I assume that's just stuff above and beyond what makes sense for our own maintenance to be doing.
Yes. Yep. We do not
Okay.
have the equipment. We don't have a snow plow. We discussed that a few years ago, but never went any further with that, but.
Okay.
Yep.
We do the sidewalks and things like
Yes.
that, but we have someone else do the lots. Traditionally, we could look into changing that, but that's what we've traditionally done.
The, and there's really nothing that, out of Mark's department, because of their load with the roads, he probably takes care of whatever he needs to get his trucks in and out and that kind of thing, and,
I guess.
I mean, obviously, his equipment, you would not use in small parking
Yeah,
lots, that would be,
yes.
cause us more maintenance issues, probably taking us, that they can't drive, but it's not meant to maneuver in small parking lots, but.
Right, right.
Their contract states that they only plow when it's over 2 inches, I think, I'm pretty sure.
And sometimes we have to do these lots.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's over,
Oh, these, the people we contract with, it has to
Yeah.
be 2 inches before they
Yep.
tow.
yep.
Otherwise, you just drive through it.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Other discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Zoller,
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes. Okay, other new business? Nicole? Fred?
Nope.
Todd?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to, I don't know if anybody else had seen this, I'm really not sure how I got, but this Heart of Ohio magazine came to my house, actually, just addressed to me and my address, but there is a lovely spread of advertising, which might be the reason for the article, I'm not sure, but on our 2 college town.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to see that, it's a neat little publication. It looks like they feature on different sections, but we've got the mayor and our university president and their pictures there.
Okay.
But anyway, so I don't know if anybody wants to see it, I do want to keep that, but if anybody wants to look at it, I thought that was nice information on our area. And so, oh, Friday I attended the Erie Basin Rural Communities and Development Committee meeting, and we were in Loudonville. They actually had a facility where, through their revolving loan fund, monies to geothermal for a greenhouse operation for these new owners there. That in itself was all interesting, but I continue to remind people that there is some downtown revitalization monies in our communities are small enough to qualify for that. There's still the revolving loan fund monies, and there's another enhancement, like if a farm operation or rural area does some type of a niche business, they want to add a greenhouse, or whatever it might be. There's just some opportunities, and all of our communities in our county are eligible for that. So just want people to be aware of that type of, low-interest funding mechanism that's out there.
Okay, thank you, thank you. I guess I could report at the Fair Board, once again thankful that the commissioners let them use the public safety building for several years. They weren't allowed to use that. And very appreciative they can have their flower show in there where it's air conditioned.
Yeah.
They do have a couple stains on the floor that was not.
Oh, okay.
I think last year's agreement that they would come in and clean it to make
Clean if
sure.
it's not.
And I think they had Dan take pictures just to be sure, and all I might need is just we can take our machine out there and see if that'll do it, if that's okay.
Let's try that first.
Yeah.
All right, public comment, anybody? Yes,
I
sir.
have a question, just a question. The patch of grass that's been killed opposite, I wanna say Kitty Brink, but I don't think, the new building.
Yeah.
On the way back to the cemetery. Why is it killed? What's something going in there?
That's a cover crop. Water asked us about that a while back, if they could use that area for a cover crop demonstration. So they're gonna plant different cover crops in there and make a demonstration on that. They might have asked the old board that. Did they ask this
No,
board?
I remember them coming and talking about it.
Was it this board? Okay.
That's here, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's what that is.
Okay.
I did see him out there with the drill the other day, so it's probably planted, if you probably go up close enough. I don't know if
Okay.
it's up yet or not, but. All right, other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I'm curious about the CS building and those murals. Now, if they come down, will there be fading around where they were? Is the plan to paint that whole building, or?
Well, they're gonna look at the any immediate repairs needed in the bubbling at the top you guys were referencing. I'm guessing that color-wise, it's light enough, it may not be, but if it's not an extreme eyesore, I guess we'll know that when they bring them down.
Just just curious,
Yeah.
thinking out loud, that if the murals are faded, then I would assume that the wall around the murals
Yeah.
has done some fading also.
It might not be as noticeable with the murals itself, it's probably the different material and that whatever
Okay.
painting or printing that the images were done with too. Plus, they've been up for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, so like I said, the wall might have a little bit, hopefully it's nothing that,
Yeah,
like I
but
said, as
I'm
we
just
look into the other
curious what they're
options, yeah.
I,
Thinking out loud kind of thing.
yeah, that reminded, I was gonna bring this up earlier when we were talking about that, when they knocked that bubble off of there, we wanted to put a little paint on that, is that what?
Oh, yeah, I would think that they'll have to, repair those blistered areas.
Right.
Repair means also to paint, repair and paint.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, do it closest match is what they can get.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I would,
Then they'll know at that time if there's some
But
others.
he'll be sure he knows it's only gonna last a year, and then, I mean, it only has to last a year, and then it's a permanent fix, so. Okay, anything else from the public? Thank you all for coming, is there a motion to adjourn?
make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned at 11.